Toxic friends that don't deserve a friendship bracelet. But you know who does? You guys. And if I could give each and every one of you a friendship bracelet, I would. I really would. And I would wear every single one of them. It'd be like a whole sleeve of friendship bracelets. How cute. That'd be so fun. First story, my wife's best friend decided to kiss me. I would kill her. This story is new. August 12th, 2025. We're in the thick of it. This happened on Friday and I've taken the weekend to process it, but I still don't know what to do. I somehow ended up kissing my wife's best friend, who we will call Amy. Some backstory. On Friday, Amy needed someone to pick her 3-year-old up from daycare since she was working late and had a date planned. I didn't know about the date at the time. Amy is a single mom who left her abusive ex about not long after their kid was born and is still involved in ongoing custody and abuse cases in court. My wife and I have been helping the childcare since the breakup, as Amy's ex and his family are apparently unreliable, and her own parents seem to have a similar attitude. We often help with daycare pickups or weekend babysitting, especially since Amy works odd shifts at the hospital. I spend more time with the child because I work a regular 9 to 5, and my manager is more relaxed than my wife's crazy schedule and boss. None of this has ever been an issue. In fact, it's helped my wife and I prepare for having our own child someday, and we understand the work that goes into parenting. We also know Amy is going back to school in the fall to study healthcare and will likely need continued support with childcare. Our friends have pointed out that I've been playing dad for the child that's not mine, and this is what changed my wife and my mind on actually wanting our own kids. Friday, I picked up the kid from daycare after work and I stopped for groceries before heading home to pick up my wife and go to a friend's place for game night. They are also great with having the kid around. Around 8 p.m., Amy texted my wife to say she was on her way to pick up the kid. When she arrived, she looked exhausted. I packed up the kid's things and I carried him to the car. While swapping the car seat back into Amy's car, we made small talk about her day. That's when she mentioned her date had flaked. He found out from a friend that she had a kid and hadn't told him. This isn't the first time that that's happened. My wife has told me about similar situations, and once Amy's ex even harassed one of her dates who was likely a great fit 3 dates in. From what I understand, Amy prefers to disclose that she is a child in person rather than over text, as it is likely a touchy subject. She started crying, so I buckled the kid in and turned back to comfort her. Being the socially awkward penguin that I am, I didn't know how to handle the situation. I awkwardly patted her on the head, which felt wrong, so I offered a hug. During the hug, Amy looked up and kissed me. I froze. By the time I processed what had happened, she had pulled away and said that she should get home to bed. I mean, I've been on bad dates, y'all, but that does not mean I am about to kiss my friend's man. That's a lie. I've actually never gone on bad dates because the one time I tried to go on a date, they stood me up. Oh no, I did go on a bad date. It was just awkward. Anyways, I was stunned and didn't know what to do, so I went back inside and continued game night. I told my wife that Amy's date had flaked. I know Amy caught her up on the details of the failed date on Saturday because my wife spilled the tea, but there was no mention of the hug or the kiss. I still haven't told my wife about the kiss, and I'm not sure what to do. Part of me thinks I should tell her, but I worry that she'll lose a friend over it, and what I believe was a lapse in judgment on Amy's part. And yes, I'm aware I'll get my fair share of judgment from Reddit and from my wife for not telling her right away. I will deserve it. Was this cheating? Well, you didn't kiss her, so I don't think I would say that. Like, if someone just out of nowhere kisses you and it lasts a split, what do you do? Besides pull away, but it probably happened so fast, there wasn't even no time to pull away. Your wife needs to know that though. Your wife needs to know that. I don't think that's up for like you to decide if it was a lapse of judgment. If my best friend is kissing my man, I need to know about that. And we need to talk that out for sure. We have an update though, came 4 days later on August 16th. To clear up a couple of questions and comments, our friend group has a 13-year age gap from youngest to oldest. Most of us have or had siblings in the group, which is why we have such a difference in ages. I am autistic and have an issue with dealing with the most uncomfortable situations. The kiss was on the lips, and yes, I froze in the situation. It didn't come across to me as anything other than odd. I thought about telling my wife right away, but was uncomfortable comfortable doing so in front of the others, so I didn't at the time. It was playing on my mind for the rest of the game night and had me unsure of what it was and if it was important to tell her. After the initial post, I left work early to inform my wife what happened on Friday. Gold star for you. You did the right thing. After 2 long hours, we had a few things to deal with. We agreed I was wrong for not telling her about it right away, which is no surprise, but she was thankful that I told her. We promised to work on our relationship and our communication. After work the following day, following a commenter's advice, we took a trip to get out of town for a few days and go camping. This has helped us reconnect and reminded us why we got married in the first place. We got back into town today and my wife had invited Amy over in the evening to discuss what happened. That's going to be the most awkward conversation ever. My wife decided that she wanted to further talk about what happened in person after she spoke to her initially on Monday. The conversation on Monday with Amy, following your advice, I suggested that my wife call Amy to confirm my story, so she did. And Amy immediately confessed before my wife even had a chance to confront her fully. Amy said that she had been struggling recently and she needed support. The failed date and seeing me play the father figure along with seeming to care about her day made her feel wanted. She said that she felt awful immediately and that is why she rushed home. This call went on for nearly an hour, where we discussed how we felt hurt as a couple and how we need to set some boundaries. We agreed that we'd be stepping back from helping with her and the kid for the time being, but agreed if we were to help again, my wife would deal with most of it. My wife and I agreed that I wouldn't be left alone with Amy for some time to be sure, and this includes game nights. Amy said that she understood how we felt and continued to show remorse. So my wife, for some reason, invited her over today. Moving on to Friday, the conversation. Dun, dun, dun. So the two of them spoke for a few hours today about everything. They went back over the boundaries and what is expected if Amy was going to remain friends with us. Against what I think is the right choice, my wife and Amy are going to continue as friends for now. I don't think I could remain friends, like close friends like that after something like that happened. And I get, fine, you want to call it a lapse of judgment, a mistake, whatever. Suddenly my trust is broken there though. That's a pretty hard boundary and line to cross. I don't know. We are still going to help out, but the interactions that I have with Amy will be limited as I am still not 100% sure on the entire situation. I know many of you will be against this, but we have set some ground rules on how often we help out. Amy agreed that looking for a partner right now will be the last thing on her list, and she will be focusing on her child, work, and mental health. Amy is already in counseling and is likely to need some more. We agreed that this was something not to be discussed with the wider friend group, and we are sure that they will all have different opinions, and we all want to keep the peace. One key boundary that I think had made a massive difference on the outcome of this, and hopefully helped Amy understand the situation and how I felt, is that I won't be carpooling with Amy to work when she gets back to university in September. I work in the next city over, not far from the university. Before all of this happened, I had agreed to take Amy into the city on my way to work for the few days that she had in-person lessons, as I was already making the trip anyways, and especially in the winter, the roads can get dangerous. I feel bad for this, but it was one of the things my wife had reminded me that I would have to be alone with her in the car for some time. Depending on how things go, I might be willing to offer this again, but not sure if it's the right thing to do. My wife has gone to bed early tonight as camping takes a toll on the body, and I am left wondering about this whole thing, and hopefully things will go back to some sort of normal soon. Our marriage still seems to be intact, and we have shared a lot and discussed the feelings we both have about the issues in our relationship. Our marriage isn't perfect, but we are going to work on it and promise not to let things like this happen again. Turns out, when you communicate effectively, you both find out the things that annoyed us about the relationship, which made the whole kiss issue the least concerning. We both have a lot to work on when it comes to our relationship as a whole, but something we are both willing to work on. I'm not sure if keeping Amy as a friend was a good idea, but I will have to see how this goes before approaching my wife. Was this the right thing to do? I don't know about that, y'all. Let me know what you guys think, but that line was crossed and I just don't know how you fully come back from that. Maybe we could have some kind of relationship or friendship, but I don't know. That would be really hard for me personally. And maybe that comes with trauma from when I was actually cheated on. Maybe I can't forgive those things as easily. I don't know. What do you guys think? Let's chat about it. Let's discuss. Perfect time to hop on Hydration Station. I really should make a little jingle for that. I won't, but I should. Cheers. I'm pretty sure one of you emailed me a song about Hydration Station. Like it was AI or something made it, or ChatGPT, and you guys, someone emailed it to my team. And it was actually really funny. Can't use it, but it's funny. Next story. Am I the a-hole for calling my husband's friendship with his coworker an emotional affair? Well, a friendship with a coworker is how I got cheated on. So this is gonna be triggering. I'll let you know if it's an emotional affair. I know all the signs. Just a little gloss. Can you guys see it? It's there a little bit. Oh! It actually, because the lighting, like my skin doesn't look like this in real life, you guys, all right? But because of the lighting, it looks so much better, but it's a goose egg and the bruise. Why? Hi, my husband and I have been married for 2 years and known each other for 4. We have an 11-month-old daughter. Our relationship is great. We've been loving our experience as parents. There's just this issue that I thought I had resolved, but my husband's behavior is making me think I went about it in the a-hole-ish way. Around December of last year, he had referred to a woman he knew from his college days. I asked him back then if they had been close friends. He said that they were kind of friends, not close enough to make plans to hang out together, but close enough that they would hang out if they ever saw each other. I was totally fine with that, obviously. Anyway, she got the job and works in his office. Fortunately, in a different team. Their friendship seemed to have been blossoming, which again was fine, although it had been intruding into his time at home. Often, he would get texts and smile and respond, and it would be from her. When I'd casually ask what she said, it wouldn't be anything scandalous. Sometimes a shared reference from their college life. He took me to a restaurant near his office once as a special night out, and midway through, I learned he had been here before with her. We were about to argue, but he said it was just lunch, and I also didn't want to ruin our night. But that's when I really started side-eyeing it. And then finally, when I was going through his phone for a number that he keeps in his contacts, she responded to him, and I just clicked on the notification and read some messages. She was complaining about the lack of luck on Tinder and was going off about the kind of guy that she's looking for. And now I don't really fully think she was making a pass, but just some things hit too close to home. I told him about what I read. He didn't mind the reading. We are both very open with our phones to each other. He was like, "What's the issue?" And I said that kind of conversation and the frequency with which they were happening, since they saw each other at work, went for lunch together, then had these kinds of texts at home, it had become an emotional affair and he needed to cut it off. He looked like I had slapped him. He argued back, really stressing the affair part that I said. I told him how stressed this was making me and I needed all of this communication outside work to be stopped, and later said it at least needs to be toned down significantly. He did agree to it, but made it clear how wrong I was in calling it an emotional affair. This happened on Thursday. He's been pretty cold since, like I don't think I'd ever see him act like this before. Yesterday, I was just cuddling with him and he wasn't being soft like he normally is when we cuddle, and he told me that he couldn't believe I called it an emotional affair and that he ended it, but this hurt not only him for being accused of an affair, but her too, who must think that we're crazy. I was hurt and our night kind of ended like that. Have I been the a-hole here? I don't know. I don't see, if you are feeling like your husband is having an emotional affair, going and expressing that to him, I don't see as being an a-hole. But I get why he's like, you're accusing me of cheating and having an emotional affair, when he might be saying, I'm not at all, but it's interesting. It's interesting. What I never understood, because this is exactly what happened. I was picking up on the closeness and the sketchy behavior, and I ended up reading messages. It was the whole story, you guys. But I, in the beginning, was like, they weren't friends ever before. My ex met this person at work. And I was like, but why do you need this person as like a new friend in your life? Like, what's the big deal of not talking to her anymore? Like, you just met her 3 weeks ago. I'm not understanding. Like, versus our 4-year relationship. I couldn't comprehend comprehend because he literally made it feel like I was asking him to give up his lifelong bestie. So we'll see. There's an update. Thanks for the feedback, even, maybe especially, those who said I was in the wrong. Oh, people think she was in the wrong. Okay. So maybe it was more innocent than we think. Or maybe than I think. Last night when we were watching TV, his responses to me were still standoffish, which honestly was messing with me more than the actual texts and lunches. So I brought it up with him. I asked if he was still angry at me due to our conversation a week ago. He said, no, it's fine, but I still apologized to him. I said using the phrase emotional affair was too much. I said it without realizing what it truly meant, that I could never imagine him being unfaithful and hurting me and our daughter in that way. And I didn't say this to him, and I'm not trying to make excuses, but now that we have our daughter, I think I just thought whatever he had with this workplace friend had the potential of messing with the life and family that we have now. So I might have said more than I should have. We made up for the moment with kisses and watching TV. I also said that I appreciated how quickly he dropped everything with her, despite any misgivings he may have had about what I was asking of him. He said no problem and that he was glad he could be normal with her in less than a week and she wouldn't be too weirded out by all of it. I felt uncomfortable by that and framed it in a way a lot of commenters have suggested I frame it. I told him I was uncomfortable with how quickly and deeply his friendship with this single girl, who was supposed to not even have been good friends with him, had strengthened. He again brought up trust and that she was his college friend and all. I said I trust him, just tone it down. I want my daughter and me to be his priority, not some random girl, and I kind of broke down things a bit at this point. I know some comments had called me emotionally abusive. Am I missing something? But this wasn't something I had planned. I asked him to just not have her be a strong presence, and he said he would tone it down and that he would keep the friendship to the way it was initially. I'm glad I cleared out the emotional affair part of it. I didn't like to have accused him of it, and it really wasn't. I crossed the line there. And I want to clarify, I'm okay with him having women as friends. One of his close friends is a girl, but again, she doesn't get the same frequency of communication that his coworker gets, especially when the work hours are factored in. Anyway, we made up after all that, and hopefully we're back to the way we were before all of this. However, there's a final update, so this could go one or two ways. This could be a happy update, or you found out he actually cheated on you with her. Let's see. A few people DM'd me asking if I was doing well. This is just my final update. First of all, I may have been rude and lashing out in the comments on my last post for not having said all of the stuff on my first post. It was honestly my fault to have taken advice on this issue based on anonymous comments rather than go to someone I trust, even if that meant I'm telling them about my marital issues, which is something I've always been taught to avoid. I decided that while I wouldn't invalidate my feelings, I wouldn't bring it up again unless I felt uncomfortable again and just trust my husband to handle it. And over the past few days, I didn't have any reason to bring it up again. The frequency really has decreased. In fact, he was the one who brought it up when his phone had pinged, and I brought it to him and I saw it was her texting him. I wasn't going to bring it up because the texts had become few and far in between, but he started the topic and said that he had toned down their closeness for me. I thanked him and said it was good of her to be understanding too. He said he had just told her it was all good and that it was a misunderstanding, but he had just reduced the frequency of contact on his own side for me, because he knew that she felt terrible about having caused issues, and why punish her for our issues? And she is his coworker and an acquaintance, so I get his point of view. That's why it makes it messy. But I'm happy with where we are, as difficult as this may have been, and I'm glad he was able to move past me using the phrase emotional affair too. You guys gotta chime in here, because am I the only one who felt that way throughout that story? I don't know. You're going out for lunch with this person, you're seeing them all day at work, then when you get home, you're texting them all the time. I think you have every right to start picking up on those cues and being like, are you having an emotional affair? Maybe not accusing. Maybe that is where she went wrong. But a conversation was definitely okay to have. Next story, am I the a-hole for blocking my friend of 10 years after she committed a HIPAA, I'm gonna call HIPAA violation against me? Ooh. Juicy. This story came July 12th, 2025. I, 23 female, blocked my longtime friend Alice, 23 female, for 10 years after she used her work computer to look up my health insurance information without my consent. The worst part is she took a photo of it, sent it through messages which her boyfriend of 1 year has access to. Some context. From my point of view, her boyfriend is leeching off of her. She spent thousands of dollars on dates, including a motorcycle that was impounded by police because he didn't bother getting his license or permit. He has used her credit card to buy illegal substances, has driven her car while intoxicated, and uses everything she owns, including her laptop that he uses to read all of her private conversations. Super healthy list you got going on there. I fear he is isolating her from everyone around her, and it's working. When I saw the photo, she laughed it off, and I was scared but pissed. I asked her why she would do that, and she said she was just curious. I asked her how stupid she could be, not knowing what HIPAA was if she works at a doctor's office. She never responded and left me on red. I assumed to run to our other friend Bella. No real apology or accountability. After 2 weeks, I blocked her. I confided in Bella and Clara about the situation. My friend Clara was incredibly understanding, not understanding what possessed Alice to do this. Bella, on the other hand, loves to play devil's advocate and has always had animosity towards me. Bella said that Alice only had good intentions and that she was only being playful and trying to connect with me as a friend. What? Looking up someone's health insurance, taking a picture of it, and sending it without their consent is connecting with you? Then I don't need the connection. Let's be disconnected. I found BS and explained that if Alice wanted to connect with me, she could have been an adult and communicated with me, asking for my permission before risking her job and committing a HIPAA violation and possibly leaking my information. I told Bella, what if my SSN was on there? What if Alice's boyfriend saw it as an opportunity to take credit cards out in my name? Days pass. Bella wants to hang out. I agree, but I informed her that I had blocked Alice and that we are no longer friends. I told her that she and Clara were welcome to stay friends with Alice, but that I want to hang out separately. Bella leaves me on red and doesn't reply to me for days. When she does, she responds along the lines of, I'm sorry that I hurt you, but if you didn't want my opinion, you should have said so, and next time I'll keep things to myself. It's clear we both have very different opinions about things. Very. I don't know, it felt like she was pushing the blame back to me instead of taking accountability. This week, Claire and I were supposed to hang out. She flaked the first day, claiming she took on an extra shift, but then ghosted me completely the second time. After a few days, she apologized and asked if I'm free this weekend. I said, depends, have you heard from Bella? She replied, yeah, I went out with her yesterday. Why? Did you want to do something with all of us together? I realized that Bella had gone with Clara to that same stand the day Clara and I were supposed to hang out. After Bella dropped Clara off, she texted me with the apology message. I've been trying to spend time with both, only to be ghosted and left behind. I feel like they used the opportunity to discuss things behind my back. Now I feel like I'm being iced out. I'm starting to feel like they're planning some intervention or ambush to get me to forgive Alice. The trust is gone and I feel hurt. I've tried being honest and setting boundaries, but now I'm wondering if I'm being excluded for standing up for myself. Now I'm wondering, am I the a-hole for blocking Alice over this? And would I be the a-hole if I distance myself from Bella and Clara too? No. I don't think these people are your true friends, girl. It's a hard lesson to learn, but especially in your 20s and probably your 30s, some people are meant for seasons and chapters, and that's about it. And then you move on because you realize what their intentions are, who they are. I don't think these people are your real friends, girl. I don't know. This ain't it. We have an update though, which came 1 month later, August 17th. After posting, I filed an official HIPAA complaint through the OCR website after many comments suggested I do it. I also reflected on this friend group and realized that we have all been drifting apart for some time now. Even before the incident, Alice and I were growing apart. Bella started showing more signs of animosity and resentment here and there. But Cassie, we were actually growing closer, so when she started... Cassie or Clara? Girl, did you mess up your fake names? Or was there Cassie and my mind is not remembering? We were actually growing closer, so when she started ghosting me, I was left hurt and confused. Later, Bella sent me a text inviting me to a group hangout with some of her friends, including Cassie, but not Alice. I assumed this was an intervention disguised as a hangout to maybe mend things between Alice, but I can't be for certain. I replied that while I appreciated the thought, I was not comfortable hanging out and did not like how some things were handled or said. I also said that I needed some space to reevaluate some things, but I told her to have fun and to stay safe. She replied, wishing me the best, but if I needed anything, she was going to be waiting for me while respecting my need for space. I haven't reached out since, but I've been thinking about it. Weeks passed and I was still stuck on the situation. My sister-in-law got tired and finally asked me why I couldn't let it go. After taking some time to reflect on the reasons and my choices, I put my big girl pants on and I made the decision to call. I called, got connected to the manager, and explained what happened. I offered to email the screenshots, and because of the small size of the clinic, they had to create a completely new email so I could send everything. The next day, I received an email explaining the clinic would be starting their investigation days earlier than they initially said. Days passed, and I received a conclusion email giving me their thanks for having the courage to report and what they did. They put Alice on leave and reviewed her logs for several days. They brought her in for an HR meeting and decided on training Alice with some HIPAA training and are putting in measures so that this will never happen again. I'm sure this is not the update many expected or hoped for. I did what many recommended, but the decision was ultimately up to the clinic. I hope this was a wake-up call for Alice. I haven't heard anything from Alice, Bella, or Cassie since. My thoughts are that Alice made a stupid and careless mistake that nearly cost her her job and ended our friendship. She's always had the habit of making careless mistakes without thinking or caring about the consequences until they come. As for her boyfriend, I don't know him that well, but I've seen red flags that he's presented in person and from what Alice has told me. For why I didn't tell her, she's the type to not listen and make excuses about her relationship. Besides, I wouldn't be the first friend to drop her because of her behavior once she started dating her boyfriend. Another hard lesson in your 20s. I think you did the right thing. I don't know HIPAA violations, to be very honest. I mean, please, look at me. I'm in a very different field than that. But coming from a friend, I feel like that hurts even more. And especially that she wouldn't understand why that would upset you. No friendship bracelet for you, Alice. Let me know your thoughts, you guys. Stay classy out there. Stay sassy. See you tomorrow.